Welcome to the Laurent Collective podcast, where we go deeper than just surface talk.
Each week, we'll explore everything from family, business, creativity, culture, and faith.
To make sure not to miss an episode, be sure to subscribe and hop on to Instagram at Laurent Collective to chat with us about this episode.
This is something new we're starting here. We're really excited about it.
Yes,
and
we are.
This is kind of like your teaser pilot episode, if you will, getting to know us a little bit, and we have lots to share with you coming up as well. But first, we thought we would introduce ourselves. So I am Maya.
And I'm Pat, or Patrick in the formal setting, if you've met me in business or whatever. But during this time in the podcast, I'm Pat. Sure.
That's good to know.
Very informal.
We'll call you Pat. I don't have a different name. Mine is just Maya. Mine doesn't shorten to anything. That's okay. I'm okay.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. But what we want to do with this podcast and the episodes coming up is just exploring what it means to go deep and getting past surface. And if that just confused you, how would you explain that?
I mean, there's so many things that are very surface. So if you see somebody and you're just like, hi, how you doing? Those are like very basic things. But then like, how do you even get further into that? And I think that that's kind of our heart behind this is to really step into conversations and talk about things that really go deeper than just surface.
Exactly. Yes. And that's so what we're about, is just getting to know people on that different, deeper level than the surface level. And sometimes it takes time to get there. But that is something we just want to explore, not just with that, but in everything that we talk about here on the podcast. So with that being said, we thought it would be good for you guys to get to know us a little bit. It may be surface level stuff right now.
That's true. It probably will be.
We promise to explore a lot of these things more in depth as we go further on. But I thought I would start.
It's our teaser. It's a teaser.
Exactly.
It's a teaser.
Do you want me to start, or do you want to go with a couple fun facts about yourself?
Well, I mean, maybe we should at least introduce, like, we've been married for almost 19 years.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one to start with.
Right. So, we're married.
Yes. We're a married couple, almost 19. It'll be 19 years in July.
Yeah.
We have 3 children.
3 kids.
We have he'll be 14.
Yep.
And then we have and I had to think because sometimes I do forget their ages. 14, 10, and 6. So we've got 2 boys, and then our last one is a girl. And our house is it's only 3 kids. I say only. I know some people may think that's a lot as well, but it's very full. We'll call it a vibrant house.
Sure.
How would you say that?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, right? Because every day is an adventure in some ways.
Yes.
Especially right now.
Especially right now in COVID times, it is definitely adventure. So we do a lot together as a family. We generally, before COVID times, we worked from home a lot anyways. And so we'll talk about that, I'm sure, more in depth. But
we spend a lot of time together as a family as well as a couple.
Yes. We're together a lot as
a lot.
couple as well. And some things for me that just to get to know me, and some things that I love to do is, if you know me, I love to read. I've always been a reader. I can't ever remember not having a book in my hand. I'm often teased by Pat or the kids about reading, although we have all of our kids love to read, actually. We have one son that reads faster than I do. And so
that's true.
that actually, and he's starting to read the same books as well. And that actually aggravates me because he can read faster than me.
He is fast. I don't understand it. I'm more frustrated by it because he gets books that I want to be reading and he reads them in like a day and a half, really. And it takes me like weeks.
And then he keeps asking you, when are you going to get done with
that
book?
Exactly.
I want to know what you thought of it. So reading books, love that. I'm sure we'll talk about that more too, and the kind of books I read, or I don't know. We'll find something with that. A random fun fact about me, I don't know, is it a fun fact? It might be, is that I adore. Would you use that word when you're talking about food?
Okay. So if we're talking about food, adore is okay. Or
I really do. I'm a fan of poached eggs.
Could I say like a little obsessed?
I am a little obsessed.
Maybe.
This is true. I'm a little obsessed with poached eggs.
Yeah.
particularly when they are on sourdough, particularly when it's an eggs Benedict. If I can find a good eggs Benedict, that is amazing.
You've definitely brought me over to that side because
I
I
have.
absolutely love it as well.
So if we went out for breakfast or brunch, that was always my go-to order because I could never make it at home. But 2019 forced me to explore making those things at home because there was no place to go out and have that.
True.
And so it took us some time and some really bad versions of it. I say us. It was mainly me figuring it out. You just were my taste tester.
I gave it a go a
You
couple
did.
times.
Oh, yeah,
Come
you
on.
made it for my birthday. That is
Yeah.
true.
Yeah. Give me a little bit more credit.
And yeah, sorry, so sorry. But I have mastered, I am thankful to say, the poached eggs, which that was a difficult feat. They were not turning out. And now I have finally figured out the sauce that goes with it too. The hollandaise
that's true.
sauce.
The hollandaise
I think
sauce.
I'm saying that correctly.
That's very key.
That is key. And I have finally figured it out. And so I don't make it that often. It is a treat. But I am very proud of myself for figuring out my favorite food finally and how to make it myself. So that was my accomplishment for 2019.
Yes.
Yeah. How about you? What are some things about you?
So for me, I would say one of the things that, and a lot of people are starting to do this again, and it's been something that I've actually loved for a while now, is vinyl, listening to records again. It's not something that in our current situation, I don't have a lot. I wish I had more, and I wish I had a better setup with records and a record player and stuff like that. But I absolutely love it. It's like one of my favorite things to do in the evening after dinner. The kids are in bed, and for you and I to just like chill and put a record on, and maybe you're reading a little bit, and I'm probably sketching or drawing or just relaxing in general. But that for me is I just absolutely love it. I love listening to records. So yeah.
Your favorite food's a bit different than mine.
My favorite food, yes. Yeah, I mean, I would say, yeah, I'm a little bit more simpler in I don't need a lot of hustle and bustle and lots of things going on in the food that I eat. So I'm a pretty simple guy. But my favorite food, or one of my favorite foods, very top of the list, probably top 3 at least, is fish and chips. And that has only blossomed since we've moved to London. And so...
Because it has to be like proper good fish and chips. You can't just have
it can't just be any old fish and chips, because after moving to London, and we've lived here for a couple of years now, you find your place to get it. Like there's definitely, depending on the neighborhood you live in, all that kind of stuff, there's a place that you go and get it, and we call it the chippy. That's what they call it here.
You've crossed some cultural barriers there.
Well,
chip. What is a chip?
Well, fish and chips, yes. A chip is a bigger, thicker French fry.
There we go.
In a sense.
Because any people listening, depending what country you might be listening for.
Most people know what fish and chips are. Come on.
I don't know. Maybe not.
I would hope so. Well, anyways, a chip is definitely a thicker French fry. That's what I would say it is. But.
And you mentioned, you just gave away a huge thing we hadn't even talked about yet either. It was the fact that we do live in London.
Oh, yeah, we do live in London.
And if you hear from our voices...
We're Americans. In London, for sure.
And so we moved here. We've been living here 4.5 years at the time of us recording right now, which just seems absolutely crazy.
Yeah, and there's a whole journey behind the whole London thing and how we got here and all that kind of stuff, and we'll definitely get into that. But yeah, I definitely left that out.
Well, we both left that out, but it's kind of a key thing. It would be called expats, is what they call people that are living someplace else besides the States, if they grew up in the States and are from the States. So yeah, that is a huge part of our story, and so we'll throughout this be referencing lots of things. I'm sure we'll have some funny stories. Well, we not for sure. We have funny stories of our cultural adjustments and things we're still learning.
Yeah, definitely.
And things
I think we always will learn.
Oh, for
we'll
sure.
Always be doing that
for
too,
sure.
So.
But that is a huge part of us too, of our story and things we'll be sharing and when you move a family to another culture. And yes, we're living in London and it's England and they speak English here and everything like that, but it is a vastly different culture. And even though English is spoken as the main language, there's tons of languages here, obviously. It still feels like a different language often, or even just, yeah. Well, and we may have an episode about that.
We'll get there. You're giving a lot.
I'm sorry, I'm giving away too much.
You're going deep, but.
So what do we do though?
But here's the thing.
Oh,
we live in London, and another one of the things about you that I love, but sometimes I get a little like, can we like do something else?
Besides reading?
Well, besides reading, and how the things that you love, because of the things that you read and all that kind of stuff, and now that we live in London, which there's vast history and all
I
that
know
stuff
where you're
surrounding
going.
with this, there's something about you that people should know and understand.
Yes.
What is this other thing that you're completely obsessed by?
So I really love history. I love history and I love reading. So I love putting those two together, and I love historical fiction. That has always been something I've been drawn to. I love actually reading actual history as well and really understanding why we're where we're at. But then that turns into historical fiction, and there has just been a whole lot of that has been about in the past several years as far as shows and things like that. I, in general, Pat can vouch to say, I do not like watching TV.
Yeah,
It
that's true.
has to
Very
really be
true.
something I'm interested in. And so historical fiction tends to be the only thing that really draws me in.
The only thing, it
really
is
is.
really the only thing.
I mean, I've tried
that
other
you
things, and I'm like, don't really like it.
It's definitely the only thing.
So poor Pat is very kind and watches it with me.
There are some things that I enjoy, for sure. Definitely.
Yes.
And there are some things that I might fall asleep to.
I'll say, oh, I heard about this new show. And I go, what year was it? And I'll say 1800 something something. And then he's already turned off to what it is about. But Pat likes to watch very different shows than me. We will probably get into this too in an episode of this, because this tends to be a conversation in our marriage and a conversation we have with other people.
Definitely.
But Pat likes a different genre of shows, which I am not a willing participant in. I often sit out. I'm not as good as you are. What do you like to watch?
Well, so when I'm reading as well, I'm not as big of a reader as Maya, but when I am reading, I usually pick either sci-fi or some post-apocalyptic type of book. For some odd reason, I love to read about people's journeys and or watch shows that are centered around people's journeys and how they survive and how they just manage this whole new world that is basically everything that they've known is thrown out the window, which is very surreal because in some ways that's how a lot of things are going at the moment, and how we've had to...
He's going to go down this route that he goes down.
Had to, rethink of how we do things and what things we can get rid of and not, and all that fun stuff. So I absolutely just love that kind of stuff, and those types of stories.
But they scare... So, I mean, to be fair...
But I do have some go-tos, and obviously, and I'm also a big, I love comedies and things like that as well. And so The American Office, for sure, by far, is one of my favorite things. I've watched all of the seasons multiple times in a row. Like it's just one of my favorite. And then the other one,
it's completely inappropriate though.
What? Well, yeah, yes,
totally
definitely. And then the other one that I absolutely love is Stranger Things, and that is like I've watched those so many times as well. And I wish that Maya she did watch the first season.
No, did I watch the whole first season?
You watched a couple of the seasons.
And what happened? What happened as a
season.
result of that?
You really struggled to sleep because you don't like anything that resembles a horror film. If it's a commercial that comes on that resembles some sort of horror scene, like you have to close your eyes, or I have nightmares.
You just won't sleep. We'll go into why I have nightmares.
Yeah, well, sure.
There is a story with that of why I have nightmares on that kind of stuff. But I feel bad that and the funny thing is with I have tried with Stranger Things. I tried, and then Pat said, "I really need you to sleep because you're making me not sleep," and I was having nightmares and stuff about it. And also, I mean, the post-apocalyptic thing goes into everything for Pat, and so we have been lost sometimes, and the streets might be empty. And Pat will go, "Oh, I think this might be the zombie apocalypse."
Oh, that's not.
You're joking.
I like the joke. I like to joke about it. but I mean, again,
it a lot.
we literally took a walk with our kids the other day in here in central London, and it like literally feels like that. There's no one on the streets. It's it's just I love imagining and thinking about that kind of stuff, and just it's I just love that storyline for some reason. So
you do. It's so funny. Every time he goes to
everything that I read or watch
book,
or whatever, it's always got to be about that. So yeah.
So also a little bit about us is our careers and what we do or what we have done. I feel like we keep using the word journey, but I have no other way to describe us going from
It's been one, that's for
it
sure.
has us going from maybe what you would refer to as like a typical job and having, working for a company, doing those kinds of things, headed on a path very much so of where we thought we would be. And
Yep.
then really in many ways halting everything multiple times
Multiple times, yes.
to
Yeah, why
do
do we
that.
do that?
I don't know why we do that. So for me, and we kind of have similar stories, and because the paths have obviously crisscrossed, and we do
Yeah.
a lot together, as Pat was referencing earlier. So for me, I started in marketing and public relations, and I did that for many, many years, and then in the odd, weird way that it happened, transitioned into having a photography business, which still, how that all happened is just crazy. But then did that for, goodness, it was a very long time that I did the photography business. Loved it. And then before we moved to London, shut that down and decided to not continue that when we got to London, just for multiple reasons. And now do what you're hearing now, but what you will see and hear more about and everything as well is do Laurent Collective. And so Pat is the, what should I call you? The creative. I mean,
Sure.
I'm creative too.
Yeah,
We
definitely.
think everybody's creative.
Yeah,
And
we
so I know
definitely
I'm
think
creative. But
everyone is
however,
creative.
you can actually draw something that looks more than a stick person, where I can draw a stick person, and that is all.
Yes.
So when I say creative, I mean more that you are the illustrator and that kind of person that can do lettering and all of that, where
Yeah.
I am more on the photography side of things and writing,
Yep.
of where that has gone for us and what we do. Pat, what's kind of a little bit of,
Yeah, I
that's such a
mean-
quick, it's so hard to put that in a condensed thing. We'll talk
Oh
about
yeah,
our journey
there's
more.
so much more into that. Yeah,
in
for
that.
sure. I mean, yeah. So for me, again, like I said, we definitely did the typical thing where we, go to university, you get a degree, and then there's like a certain path that you are supposed to go down with a certain degree or whatever. And mine was in graphic design. And so for me, I just went into working at advertising agency and just was an art director and did that for a while. And I think at the same time when Maya started her photography business, I started doing freelance stuff on the side while I was still working in the advertising world. And then eventually got to a point where I lost my job. And, again, we can go way more into all this story and all this kind of stuff. But once I lost my job, then I never looked back, and I went straight into freelance and just kind of started to pursue my illustration and typography passions. And from there, I've always been doing that. I've also done the odds and ends jobs here and there for people and friends just to be able to make ends meet from time to time. And again, there's way more to this journey in this story, but yeah, doing freelance design and illustration and doing all that. And then, when we moved to London, stepping into a bunch of other stuff and, building Laurent Collective has been a journey. It's been, it's almost 14 years now.
Yeah, we did
or
opened
so.
it when Zane was.
So, I mean, just the amount of stuff that we've done and experienced in that time. We've got lots of fun stuff to talk about, but
Yes, definitely. And one thing that Pat left out too, that is a big part of how we got here, is we both work for a church too.
Oh yeah.
And so we'll probably be exploring things that go around that and everything a little bit more too.
Well, and just how our faith plays into a lot of what we do.
Exactly.
So.
Exactly. It definitely it guides us in a lot of stuff, and provides lots of challenges as well.
Yeah.
So we're excited to kind of dive into more of that stuff as well. And the things that we're passionate about, just so you guys, you know what to expect. I guess I feel like this is what this is it's a setup for you.
Yeah, definitely.
Of what's
it's
coming.
just kind of like, yep.
We are, like we said, we believe that when you get into deeper relationships with people, that you can help one another in a way that you can't when you are in more of like a surface community. When you spend time with people, and lingering time in some ways.
Lingering time. That's a really good way to say it.
Yeah, that you aren't rushed to go to the next thing, that you set up things that are just having meals with one another and that kind of thing. Like, that is so what our family is about. And so this time for us, this COVID time, is so hard.
Yeah.
because we can't do that. And we've
Yeah,
tried it
well,
over Zoom.
yeah, because of where we live currently, like we just can't do
Yes.
that kind of stuff. So,
And we've been even throughout the whole thing, we've chosen to be super careful and everything like that. So it's just not something that we've been doing.
yeah,
So we're really missing that right now, and we cannot wait to do that again. But then we have a huge thing too about creativity, and how about you want to talk about that a little bit?
yeah. I mean, I think another huge thing that we're super passionate about is just spending time with other creatives and really kind of diving into life with them, as well as just kind of helping them in their creative journey. And again, we believe that everyone is creative, right? So that could be anything from like what you would typically think as a creative of an artist or whatever, but that also could mean who knows?
Somebody that does coding,
Yeah, somebody does code. I mean, it
like
all
things that
like
you would not think of as finances, those
Yeah.
kind of things, those things that you would think of not as being creative. It takes creative stuff to do those
yeah.
things.
So I think for us, like in that realm, in a sense, we want to walk alongside people as they step in and kind of go for their passions and really kind of as they dive into it, we want to be able to like. This sounds like cheesy, but like really kind of lift them up, keep them encouraged, and just kind of be there for them to kind of download and help them walk through things when it's rough or when it's great. Like that's the kind of stuff that we really desire with that. And so, yeah, I think we're just really passionate about walking with people as they step into things that they are gifted in and that they have a passion for, and all that stuff. So yeah, for sure.
And with that too, I think the thing that we love about all that as well is like each person's so unique.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that is so great when it comes to creativity or whatever it may be that you are looking to do in your life. Like everybody's so, I mean, we see that in our kids. We can see them even from when they're very young, you start to see unique qualities in them that you think like, I'm so curious to see how our kids use some of those qualities and what they choose to do, how they choose to live their lives, who they spend their time with, that kind of thing. And so we love exploring that with people as well. There's nothing better, more fun. That's not how you say that. I've lost
awesome.
the ability to say phrases, I guess, during this time. There's just love to sit down with a cup of tea or a coffee or something and to have somebody just talking about the kind of exploring those things and what they're doing and everything like that. So yeah, that is something else that's not just me. You love that as well. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, everyone's unique. They have something to offer to the world, and we want to kind of walk with them as they explore that.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. So some things that to look forward to, I guess, that we would love to have you listen to coming up is we are going to be talking a wide range of things. From obviously we mentioned we're married, from marriage to and for somebody who might be listening who's single, you might be like, oh great, I don't want to listen to marriage stuff, but we're going to be talking about how we do things with singles and stuff like that too. And so it's not just about that, it's more about relationships.
yeah, for sure.
And then we want to talk about like we said, our creativity and what goes into that, and what even some business stuff, family, obviously.
Yeah.
That will come up over and over
That's
again.
going to be fun. We might have some special guests when we do those
I mean,
for the family stuff.
they are dying
Yeah.
to play with these mics. When the mics arrived, you would have thought it was another
I
Christmas.
mean, even as we're recording this, like they were. Like,
if you've heard footsteps in the background, it's because our kids keep coming in because they are so curious.
they're very interested. I mean, I think even using those words, I'm very interested in what you're doing, mommy and daddy. What are you doing?
That's great. Go to bed. It's past bedtime.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how I feel about the question right now. So it's going to be a wide range of stuff. And we would love to hear from you, too, of what you want to hear from us. We're not...
Well, yeah, you forgot, too, as well. We were talking about living in a different country.
Oh, yeah.
Like-
Living in a different country, cultural differences,
Like all
things
that
that
kind
we
of
have
stuff.
learned from that.
Yeah.
What it was like to go back to the States for a little bit after we've been here for a while, and culture shock and all those things.
And with all that, we're going to go deeper. We're not just going to
exactly, yeah.
we're not going to like talk about like the traditional stuff, or at least we're going to try not to. But we're going to try to go deeper with a lot of it. So we'll see.
Exactly. And explore those topics more. And
Yeah.
there may be a topic that we do that we may explore for more than one episode, I'm sure, or it will keep coming back up and that kind of thing, because a lot of those things, in order to go deeper, you have to have more than whatever time we end up allotting.
Yeah. Well, and
for
I
an
think too,
episode.
I think you were about to talk about it, but like, we would love to hear from you guys if there's certain things that you're curious about with us, or just topics in general, like we would love to kind of dive into some of that stuff and go there and go deeper.
Go deeper. Yes, exactly. Exactly. And I think the one thing we just want you guys to be encouraged by and everything with the podcast overall is just knowing, like we said earlier, and we'll probably repeat it so many times, is that you do have something unique to offer the world. And it sounds absolutely cheesy and so cliche. And so I get that.
but it's like a really fundamental truth. Like
exactly.
It's huge.
And I think unfortunately, just in our day and time and social media and all that stuff like that, people take that as like, I've got to do something huge.
Yeah. Or the opposite of, somebody's already taken the thing that I thought I was supposed to do.
So I can't do that.
So I'm not going to do it.
Yeah. And both of those things, I don't know. Maybe the thing you do is huge. That might be amazing. And that doesn't matter. It could just be for one person that is in your life that is the thing that you have to offer to the world that is going to make an impact on that person.
We all have unique stories, unique experiences that lead us to where we're at now. And so that's what's going to make you different than the other person you see on social media. So
exactly. And your story
or whatever it is. Yeah.
Your story has so much power. And so I will speak, I'm sure we'll talk about the Enneagram at some point, but I will speak from somebody who has a major issue of comparing herself to others and what they're doing. I think, they're doing it. I can't do that. Yeah. That kind of thing. But with that being said, I have to constantly remind myself that I have my own unique way, my own unique story that I bring into whatever it is I choose to do. And so, we just want you guys to leave encouraged with that, and that we hope you'll join us for our other episodes that we have coming up, and hope that we are looking forward, like Pat said, to hear from you more and hear what you would love to hear us talk about, as well as we can't wait to get to know you more.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm sure you're going to get to know us.
Yes. We'll be, if we're going deeper, they're going to get to know us.
Yeah.
Are we okay with that?
I think we'll be all right with
We've
that.
signed on with it, haven't we?
We don't really keep things that close. There are some things.
There are some things,
but we're pretty much an open book for sure.
And the reason why we are that way is because we have had people that have gone before us. We'll call it that way. I never want to say older people or anything.
Yeah.
But that have done that, have shared their stories with us, and because of that, it's had such an impact in our life. Or we've taken a deeper breath and like, oh, okay, we're normal. This is normal, what we're going through, and that kind of stuff. So we want to be that for you. And sometimes that has been, for us, it has been a podcast or something like that, an interview we've listened to. And so we love that we get the chance to be able to possibly do that for somebody out there that is listening.
Definitely. We're super excited about this. It's going to be really fun.
We are excited. If you could see us right now, we're both all smiley and kind of like, is this real that we have mics in front of us?
Yeah.
And we're finally
We've been talking
doing
about this for so long. So
stay tuned for more. We can't wait to talk more and go deeper.
Yeah. We're so thankful that you tuned in today.
Thanks for joining us on today's episode of the Laurent Collective podcast. If you enjoyed today's podcast, be sure to subscribe and leave a review, which helps others find our podcast. Continue the conversation with us over on Instagram at Laurent Collective.
We look forward to going deeper than just surface talk with you again next week.